Okay. So that's my icon, which is something. Okay. Are we there? Do we have audio? Do we have video and audio? Video? Do we have audio? Okay. Audio. See you too. Audio now. All right. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Is that the test? Yep. All right. I don't know what it was, but we're not going to touch another button here on the whole show. Sorry about that, guys. That it's a quirk I've had here with the camera, um, and it tries to anyway read it from a different. I was doing some conferencing today, and that became an issue. And anyway, it's kind of big stuff going on there. So, but hope everybody is doing well here on this 30-degree January 2nd. So, hoping that everybody is doing well. So, wow. Um, okay. All right. Software sync issues. Is it okay? You can hear me, Ron Wayne, Mike. You guys can hear me, and it seems like I'm moving my mouth. Everything is kind of lining up. But anyway, let's uh, let's get into it here. So, yeah, yeah, it's been a little bit warmer today. We do have a risk of some slight icing on the roads, but it wouldn't be real bad. And it should clear up pretty fast. So we'll see what happens. Um, but yeah, we'll take that. So all right. Today's show. All right. You win a car. Ron Wayne wins a car. Corey wins a car. Mike McClune wins a car. So school districts, right? School districts saying, hey, like we've been battling with truancy, students not coming to school. That hurts the school district's funding that they get from the state and from the feds. Also, right, when you're trying to teach a curriculum, doesn't work when kids are out a lot. So they test, they don't do well. Um, Other things such as discipline, behavior, kids doing things in town and that they shouldn't be doing. So attendance, right? It's age old. In the blog post, I have a study from 2001, which was all about attendance. But yeah, so now in the last maybe decade, schools have started to go bananas, absolutely bananas with these incentive things. And you would think, yeah, maybe an incentive where you're giving, you know, tickets to Pizza Hut, right? Or something like that. And, I think that would be, that might be it. But so, yeah. Hey, I'm checking out here. I was just seeing that in the Bills Bengals game, a player went down and they're doing CPR right now. I was just notified here. So, wow, that is pretty horrible. So I don't know of any updates, but apparently I got a text here from a friend, and and that was also so they're holy smokes here. This is just unbelievable stuff. So yeah, wow. I don't have words for that. So the Kentucky Batman, he rides a motorcycle, so that's how he gets around. Is he does a motorcycle? So yeah, wow. Um, all right. So it's kind of a weird. It's a weird night. We'll get it back on track. It's foggy as heck. That's Mike McLuhan. So Mike is like, oh my goodness, got the foghorn out there in Pennsylvania. It's foggy. So I don't trust myself behind the wheel. That's Corey. So yeah. So Corey's saying, hey, make students want to learn. Attendance will take care of itself. That's part of this, right? I mean, we'll get into it, but if students are participating in sports, for example, they have to have a certain attendance to typically play, sports, sports teams and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, I think it is, you know, so let's get over here. I'm going to read my show intro for this. So still I'm pretty in shock here by these messages just coming in of this player who is they've delayed this game and they're doing CPR. I don't know if anyone has got this on TV. It's the Bengals hosting the Bills, but holy smokes, it sounds pretty horrific. What is happening in this game right now? So yeah, puts things in perspective. I remember there was a game. I think in the NFL there have been a couple games over the 100 years where a player has been killed in the game or a direct result of a hit during the game. Not recently. Last one I think was with New England back in the 70s with the Patriots. But holy smokes here. So yeah, it's kind of throwing me off. Wow, wow. Um, so Ron, when you're saying do our text, dollars pay for the car? Is it from their yearly funds? So let's get into the post here. Have you ever imagined that not missing a day of high school could put you square in the driver's seat of a new car? What began as a novel truancy pilot roughly 20 years ago is becoming increasingly popular in high schools across America. Why are cash strapped schools ponying up cars for students with perfect or near perfect attendance? What are the outcomes of these incentives? What are the positions of advocates and opponents? In this episode, Doc describes the cars for attendance trend speeding through the parking lots of America's high school, including Kentucky, and zooming all the way up to Pennsylvania. So let's get into what this is. It is it's not getting PlayStation. It's not getting anything like tickets to Pizza Hut or something. This is big time. This is giving a vehicle away to the um, to a student in a raffle for good attendance. Sometimes it's perfect attendance, and other times it is for near perfect attendance, missing like 2 days or something like that. So, all right, let's see. Let's do a search here. So, kid wins car for good attendance. Okay, here we go. Let's just share this out so we can get a couple images here and look. Oh my goodness, it's Coop. Look at this here. It's Coop. There's our friend Coop. YouTube doesn't have a medical needle emoji. Oh my goodness. So let's do share screen and right over here. Okay, so this is so I did a search. Kid wins car for good attendance. Look at this, 40 million, 40 million results showing up there. So I don't know, guys. We attended school at the wrong time, I guess. Here's the first one: absent teen wins car for perfect attendance. That's interesting. A mom and a bobblehead had to step in for a graduate. So you're absent, but you want it. Dedication pays off. Hillsborough graduate wins new car. Nederland senior wins new car. Look at him right there. He's like, hey, I just won this. Let's check this out here. I just won this. He's like, listen, I'm going to Kentucky. I'm going to meet the Kentucky Batman, and I just won this car. So this kid's thrilled. Let's get a picture of the car here. So, um, what is that? It's a Toyota. I don't know these other things. It's a Hyundai or it's a Toyota. So that looks nice. So there he is. He's he's like, I've got this. I'm gonna do his big bat logo on the front in honor of Ron Wayne and the Kentucky Batman. But so yeah, for attendance, that's a thing now. For attendance, you're in a raffle. This kid, the Nederland senior, check out his new ride there, and he's zipping around there in his Toyota. So you know, um, I just fascinating stuff. I would have thought this was a real far out novelty, 10 years ago. And now, as we saw, 40 million results. I didn't have that in quotes, so it would bring in fewer than that. But yeah, that's just amazing stuff. That kids are able to win, to win vehicles. So yeah, I don't just insane, isn't it? That we're kind of at that point. But exactly where we're at. We are That's where we're at right now. So this kid won this vehicle. Let's go back over here to the share screen just so you guys can get an idea. There's no shortage of these. Rochelle girl wins car from local dealership. Canyon Ridge student wins free car for perfect attendance. EJHS student wins car for perfect attendance. GHS student wins free cars reward for perfect attendance. Ron Wayne wins free car for being Ron Wayne. Well, worked its way in there, but student wins car for perfect attendance. Local student wins car. The headlines here: Chicago 12-year-old wins car for perfect attendance. Look at this. That is a headline. A Chicago 12-year-old. Chicago. Holy smokes, guys. A Chicago 12-year-old won a car for, whatever, right? It is holy smokes here. Wow. We have a picture here of this kid. Ashley Martinez won a Dodge Caliber for perfect attendance. She's only 12. Um, so do we have a picture? No, I guess they're not going to put a picture of the kid in the car, or at least the car, but holy smokes. So Chicago's school system has offered several rewards in recent years, including vacations, laptops, and iPods. Some experts disapprove. Parenting expert Nancy Samlin says the main reason children are sent to school is to love learning. Chicago school chief Arnie Duncan said the reward gives parents added incentive to get their kids to class. This was 2008. So that's an old article, but still, kids 12 probably still has it today, still driving it around. So anyway, we can go on and on and on and on with that. It's pretty nonstop. So that's the deal. Straight up. Oftentimes it's it's a new car, but it's not always a new car that they're giving away. Sometimes it's a used car, right? But so we're going to get into like how that's funded and what that looks like. But yeah, giving somebody a car. So just imagine that. So what do you think in the chat here before we go on? Like if you're you know if when you were in school, would that have made a difference? You know, um, I yeah, I don't know. So wow, wow. Um, it is just amazing, isn't it? That's where we're at. Is so all right. Dun, 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 dun. You win a car and a car. You win a car. All right, let's check here. So, wow. So let's. All right, we have word here. The Monday Night Football game has been suspended because the player that they're doing CPR on, this looks extremely bad, folks. His last name is Hamlin. They have suspended the game. Ambulance on the field. Holy smokes! It's coming across here as a streamer. That is just horrible. Wow, wow. So we have Vanessa Kitty in the house. Coop is saying I would have skipped school back in the day. Not if they were offering you a brand new Dodge Caliber. So yeah, two towns near me. This is Vanessa. Use the pandemic funds for people's to pay the license reader cameras at stoplights. Yeah, that's seen a lot of interesting ways that funds have been spent. So when I was in school, this is Ron Wayne. Our school system couldn't afford even a Yugo, the Yugoslavian car, right? I remember those. They're about $4,000. You could pick yourself up a Yugo. So, wow, yeah. So that's a thing. Schools, if when students are truant, they lose funding if students miss a certain number of days, especially if they're not there to start the year. And then, if academics are right, the students are testing poorly. There's measurements that come out on the school report card saying your students are doing it. So when there's school testing, for example, a lot of schools will do incentives like say, come in and we'll give you a pizza lunch and it's breakfast of donuts and all this stuff, to get the kids there, right? So they count on the testing. So schools have an incentive to get the kids there for the learning and then also for the funds for the school, right? And the community wants the kids in school. Like the community doesn't want them roaming around the community when they should be in school if they're skipping, right? So there are laws. It's a state level, not a federal level, but states all have citations for compulsory attendance and then also school enforcement. So if a student misses a lot of days, you can have a truancy court where the parents get a ticket. Doesn't make a difference. I don't know, but I worked with principals who would attend these truancy hearings. But again, does it really make an impact when you're doing that? So this is where they come up with these ideas. So let me read this back from 2001. In 2001, in 2001, the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Juvenile Justice. That's the Department of Justice Office of Juvenile Justice published a 16-page bulletin titled Truancy Reduction, Keeping Students in School. Truancy has been well studied since, by 2001 so by the time this came out like 20 years ago, right? So the report stated truancy has been clearly identified as one of the early warning signs that youth are headed for potential delinquent activity, social isolation, and or educational failure. Other studies established lack of commitment to school as a risk factor for substance abuse, delinquency, teen pregnancy, and dropping out of school. Other consequences of truancy include a less educated workforce, business loss because of youth who hang out or shoplift during the day, and higher daytime crime rates. And number 4, cost of social services for families of children who are habitually truant. So those are your arguments or your consequences, right, of truancy. Many studies, coming into that. So it's Mike McLuhan saying there are cameras at almost every intersection in the small town I live in. So they're just trying to get pictures. That's Mike McLuhan. So that is interesting stuff. I like school. This is Corey. Just resentful being forced to learn BS I'm not remotely interested in. So that is one of the arguments that come out from people saying you shouldn't have to do this, right? If you had stuff that was quote unquote more interesting, right? Classes on how to, build your social media channel, right? Esports has a high interest in schools, right? So, looking and saying, you got to you got to switch things up. What would motivate kids? 3D printing labs, pushing that out, where kids are, competitive things where they're making, videos, right? Like little mini movies or something like that. You have to show these different techniques. And so yeah, so I think what Corey's saying, and I had a number of classes too. You're like, well, what was that all about? Versus, what we can all think of classes that really motivated us. I had a class. It was an intro law class, You and the Law, which was really cool. I always look forward to going to that. My high school shop classes, enjoyed those. So yeah. Yeah. So let's go over here. Ron Wayne, the Kentucky Batman. So if you're tardy and have an existing car, are you penalized? They take the wheels off. Yeah. I don't know. So I guess you have a car for every other day, or how that would work out. But so yeah, and Ron, in reading these policy or these stories, right? It seems like perfect attendance was a little much. So there was usually, if it was 1 or 2 days and it was excused. So someone's like, I got a doctor's appointment, and I didn't make my perfect attendance because I have a doctor's appointment. So uh, yeah, here we go. So man, people are still sending me updates in my. I got my fantasy football league tonight. We is the Super Bowl uh, final, and actually, my kicker is the kicker for the Bengals, and I need 8 more points to win. But it does seem like that game has been uh, postponed. But yeah, I had Jeff, Jefferson of the Vikings, and that was yesterday. He was held to one catch by the Packers. So kind of a rough thing. You're, growing up a Packers fan, but yeah, that is just unreal. So yeah, so I'm going through. There are more and more and more of these, where kids have won these cars. And the other thing, um, is I'm wondering, um, yeah, let's see here. Um, I am wondering if these kids have consequences from their peers, right? If they're like, "Oh yeah, you won that car," like, will they get shunned by their peers, or they have to pay tax on the car if you win it? Like, I don't find that anywhere in here. But anyway, let's keep going through this. So this Bastrop ISD independent school district partnered with a local dealership, a Ford dealership, and the dealership was Sames Bastrop Ford dealership, to offer one lucky student the chance to win in its Drive Sames for Education. All right, name of dealership. Christy Lee, the the school district's deputy superintendent, said the district has seen a dip in attendance in all students' grades. Attendance down, students' grades are down. Apparently 12-year-olds too, right? If you're in Chicago. The free car acts as an incentive to get students to come back to class. For the 2021-22 school year, BISD had an attendance rate of 90.59%, the lowest rate in the last 4 years. When the pandemic originally hit during the 2019-2020 school year, overall attendance was almost 3 percentage points higher at 93. So, yeah. So schools are looking for attendance to be ideally above 90%, right? Like, they're probably more aiming for this 95%, but you get down to 90%, that's when, it's impacting you on all those fronts. We know it. Plus the feds can come in and say, you've got issues here. And that's when, schools can have corrective action plans that come out from the feds, meaning the of Office of Civil Rights, because you can say there's some processes where kids are being denied an education, whatever it is that's happening, and the Office of Education, and just so forth. And the optics on this, if you have open enrollment, students coming in and out, you're like, well, we're not going to open enroll to the district that has 90% attendance. They're like the lowest in the district. So these things, that's kind of a figure. Like, somebody puts out there, it's like, whoa, like that's not good. So you're aiming, for 95. There's, around where I'm at, districts are probably more in that like 97% range for attendance. But so anyway, the district's deputy superintendent or assistant superintendent comes out and says, listen, grades were down, kids weren't attending class, so we decided to partner with the dealership. They're donating this car. So yeah. So to answer the question of how does this get funded, it gets funded in different ways. One is you would never see this coming locally out of a school's budget. 10 years ago, you would see these partnerships of with a local dealership, right? Where the dealership gets publicity and da, 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 the so that is happening. Or you might see that there's multiple fundraising sources that are coming together, to pay for this. But it was very unlikely this was coming out of any schools, but it just wouldn't be approved. But I'm not sure that's the case anymore. I'm not sure that some of the grants, some of the funding for um, that it would have to come in general grant funding, alcohol, tobacco, other drug funding. I don't. Um, Pandemic funding, right? I mean that it could go into these areas. I don't think there's a very robust audit system, and a school district, a board of education could say we're just going to take this out of our local fund, our fund 10, our main fund, and do this. So, but I'm saying like when you do the search and you see this come up, and it is absolutely crazy of that many um I don't know what to make of it. It's it would throw me off for a little bit. So yeah, but I'm just saying now, it is. So what else do I have here? So a car. Can you imagine that though? And then yeah, you'd have to have obviously insurance, who's paying for driver's ed. Does I again, I think there was this part, right? The kid kind of becomes open to some flack or some jealousy from classmates and things like that. I don't know. I'm just trying to think the teenage brain and probably some staff members like, hey, I drove my Yugo in here. Now Mike McClune fixed it, put a new engine in it, but holy smokes, this kid just won a brand new Chrysler Cordoba. So look at this. So yeah, it's Princess. Those cameras are keeping me from doing my lifelong dream. Oh my goodness! Holy smokes! Wow. Uh, it's our good friend CNT. To Mike, I was bad about blowing off classes to go out and hang out and have fun. Yeah, and so that's the thing, right? What is the argument for this? The argument for this is saying, listen, if you're partnering up with a dealership and they're going to foot the cost, it really isn't. It's not a cost for us as a district. It's the same as if they're buying, billboards on the, like at our high school, they have the scoreboards underneath the electronic panel, and it always runs continuously, like the whatever dental office and this, and the landscaping, and you look at the outfield at the baseball diamond, and it's every square is some business, right? So this is just at a different level. And it has to be right an incentive for the business, but I guess if they look at marketing, how much advertisement they can. Oh God, I froze here over on the monitor screen. This is hopefully hopefully we're back. I think I'm still live here. So this whole night has been weird, man. I I don't know. So all right, I never lost it over here, but the other monitor just did the blinky blink. So um it is just crazy. It's absolutely just crazy. So wow. Oh, I gotta get a message here coming in. So you're live. All right. So good. All right. Good deal. Yes. Yeah, I was spinning over on the other screens, so I didn't know you know, what was going on here. So yeah. Let's see here. All right. Gotta bring the article up. Okay. So the argument for this is saying, listen, or if as a district, if we're paying $30,000, $25,000 probably for a car, like we're getting a deal on it, right? Um, and if we had a assistant principal or a truancy officer and they're designating 25% of their time to this, then you know we would be, their salary and benefits is over $100,000. So this is that's right there. That we're paying that out. Lack of open enrollment. We're not getting student count, so we're not getting funding from our per student funding. So they're looking and saying, if we can increase attendance by this amount, then our school report card, also more attractive for students to open enroll in and to stay in the district and things like that. There's some number they're putting on it, and they're saying, this is worth $100,000 to $300,000 to us versus $25,000 going out the door for a vehicle. And we have a community partnership here. We're probably buying from a local dealer, or they're donating or whatever. Yeah, let's do it. So those are things. So those are the arguments for it, of saying, we're from a cost benefit analysis. Now, the arguments against it, as you can imagine, are saying, hey, you're creating this false artificial external reward system for something that should be internalized. So it's like, hey, we're going to, every time you brush your teeth, we're going to put you, if you brush your teeth, every day, we're going to put you in a raffle, and then you're going to get a car. So instead of, it's these things get, they kind of get really weird. So they're saying you're building this external system for something that should be internalized. When kids get out, right, and they go to work, is there going to be this incentive? If you don't miss work, are you going to get some bonus from work? Probably not. But I'll go on. So one is, it's artificial. This isn't the way that things operate outside of this structure. Another argument is that that these prizes actually don't motivate a lot of kids. So that it changes the behavior in some kids, and others it's still not reaching. It's not like you do this and suddenly all of your kids, like truancy, goes away. So, again, it's moving a few of the kids and not all the kids, but you've moved above this danger threshold. So now everything is good. Again, we said this before, hey, it's a stale curriculum. We got to shake things up. What motivates kids to get in here, right? Again, maybe we put money into our 3D lab and we have competitions of 3D things, or our own television studio, like here or these competitions of different videos that kids can make of demonstrating, so all that stuff. So yeah, that's the thing of saying, it's creating this artificial structure. So where do I sit on this? Well, we'll get to that in a little bit, but let's get over here. So this is Mike to CNT. Cafeteria was homeroom for vocational tech students and automotive program in AM junior, senior years of high school. I sometimes went back for my afternoon classes. Yeah, and you're right. Automotive. So what's interesting in all of these things of attendance and whatever, you don't see the other part of the article saying, well, here are classes that typically have a very high attendance level, and here are classes that don't, like kind of getting or trying to figure out what is the root cause, because this isn't addressing a root cause, right? This is just a big incentive of saying, hey, come on, get here and you'll have a chance. You'll have a chance to win a car. So I can't admit, I'm going back to my, high school age self. And apparently, again, you're in Chicago, it's 12 years old. And I'm trying to imagine what that would be like to win that, or to have somebody you know, like a friend, win a car. It's strange to think about that. So yeah. So let's go down here to English was the only subject I had a problem with in school. As from Princess. Mike McLuhan had a lunch break at noon, then an open period gym class, then English and history. The teachers did not care if I showed up as long as the assignments were turned in. I got passing grades. So Mike's like, here you go, buddy. It's setting in my tape recorder and here's my grade. So that brings a question, do we also have a model that is that's outdated? So that's where, you know, that's where you really have to look at things, and say where do we start on this? Um, and what doesn't show up in a lot of these articles too is, again, okay, so your attendance went to 90% that one district. Um, and then it was 93, 94. So with the car thing, did it bump it back up? Did it go above where it was before? Or is there this effect where it kind of doesn't stay? So one of the things when I was researching this that I found that I thought was interesting and made note of it was, if kids feel that they have control over the outcome of kind of this raffle, right? That it's not totally random, meaning like they have control, they can attend school, that they are much more willing to participate in it. And there's a difference here. So let's say you're studying for a test, and then a raffle is like, well, everyone that gets a B or better on the test gets put in a raffle. Some kids be like, I don't know, I can study for the test, right? I'll read the stuff, I'll do flashcards, I'll do whatever. But so it's different. So you're rewarding kids for studying for the test, coming to school. Those are kind of the same things, and not like the score they get on the test or the grades they get in school. You're not getting your reward. So if you come to school and you average, 3.5 or something like that, mix of A's and B's, you're not in another drawing for another car. It's attendance. So that's where people are looking and saying, okay, so, we're also, be very clear, like we are rewarding for coming to school, or we're rewarding for, practicing for a test and not the results on the test. So that's distinct. I teach math often. It is up to the student to do said work. Science here. It's Corey. OPR 8R 357 in New York State. The winner would have to pay sales tax on the vehicle. Right. I think that's probably a lot of vehicles that would be, one you'd have to pay taxes on that, right? Kind of. So is the school covering that or helping with that, right? It's really weird because it doesn't seem like there's a cash option in these two. I've been looking at that of saying, okay, you can get a car or $10,000 cash. And yeah, I mean, I just think it's I just so for some families this could I mean, you could be like, I don't have money to insure that. I don't have money to pay the taxes on that. We don't have the gas money for that. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how that gets paid, and right, perpetually you have to insure this. And it's an interesting thing, right? But so, uh, how many of those students are passing their classes rather than just attending? See, that's a good question, Vanessa. Great question. So yeah, very good. You can be inside a building, but actually flunking most subjects. So right. So if you're measuring attendance, that's one thing. Are you measuring that, academics, discipline, these other things, are they being affected, or are you just keeping kids there until the drawing date because there's a chance, and if they don't get it, then boom. And how many kids I mean, again, it didn't seem like you're going from 90% attendance to like 99% attendance once you implemented this. You're not doing a Maserati or something like that. So and how many and also like, kids, they probably have cars or they're not. Again, I don't know if this is a big motivator if you're not attending school, right? Um, that this is what's going to bring you back. So, what is hyped a lot is like, look at this kid who won, and this kid's like, I missed one day of school my entire, you know, years here, and yeah, that was the day, yeah, I broke my arm or something, like that. So I had to get with the arm set, and it was too late to go back to school. So yeah, weird stuff. Schools would get better results if they would teach things in a way that is relevant to the student's life. Show the student how these subjects fit and work for them in everyday life. So, Coop is pointing out, let's look at this and say if attendance is dropping, right? Let's look at curriculum and trying to figure out what interests kids. And personally, I think like 3D lab and things of that and video production. I know my kids are into that. Um, so yeah, because otherwise, right, you're just adding this prize of this high stakes prize. And of course, if you're, well, not of course, but most kids are going to want a car. But also, what do you do here if you have a student with who's unable to drive a car because of a disability? So, cerebral palsy or loss of vision, whatever it might be, right? And then are you also paying? Are you giving the car out, and then in addition to that, you are um, paying for a modification or a stipend to modify the vehicle so the student would be able to have the brakes on the steering wheel. I mean, I think it's a real question. I think it's a real question about what is equitable. um because if this again is your student body, um so yeah, wow, I just don't know on that. So let's go over here. So this is Vanessa. Participation is indeed part of your grade. You must be participating to learn most subjects. Yeah, no, I'm with you, right? So there's a lot of questions here. And my guess is participation doesn't impact the drawing at all. So, yeah, no, I could see over here on the side screen. So I have the screen in front of StreamYard where I'm streaming. My notes are on the left. My monitor screen is on the right, and the monitor screen froze a few times. But I'm not getting like a low signal on my main screen, which sometimes that shows up. Um, and that's not the deal at all. So this must be something going through the YouTubes that is causing that. And I would say here between me talking with you and the delay coming through YouTube, that is probably 30 seconds, and usually that's made about 10, 20 seconds. So the delay is longer tonight. So there must be something going on with the YouTube. Um, so yeah, so here we are. Do we um, do this, or don't we do this? Do we pay or do we not pay? So um, yeah, tell me what you think. I'm just bringing up a few more of these articles. So all right. Corey's saying, I spent all my time in the library and still managed to pass the classes I was in. Barely, but I passed. So, all right. Well, it's good. It's good. But buffering doc, how's the weather? So, um, like I said, it's kind of a very light sleet here. So maybe that's what's going on. But nothing like a warning sleet or even kind of like a stay off the roads sleet. Specifically on the news tonight, the weather guys like this isn't going to be an event where there'll be power outages or stuff like that. And the temperature is warming up throughout the night. So we are at 30 degrees. So that would be sleety. And then, we're supposed to be warming up. So of course, freezing right at 32, but I don't know, unless this is being channeled through Kentucky and most of the bandwidth is allocated to the Kentucky Batman. So Google's like, tonight's show, Dave, is going to be going through our Kentucky office. I'm like, can you slice me a piece of that bandwidth? And they're like, no. So yeah, I do not know. So public schools must adapt to the 21st century. So again, the argument that is out there is saying, hey, like this thing of a car, where do you go next with that? Are you going to, offer a kid a house? Here, we'll pay half your mortgage. It is, that's ramped up pretty high. So where does it go after that? So yeah. So the use of a computer may help perform computations, but the write-up of each problem is the critical part, right? And Vanessa's underscoring this statement of, a district, championing out in a school, superintendent or deputy superintendent saying, hey, we went from 90% back to 93 or to 94%, and we're right, with attendance. And okay, but how are grades doing, and how are did we juice up our curriculum at all because kids weren't coming to school? Were we sitting down with them and saying, what's the deal here? And I don't know. I mean, I went to a school. Now there's a winter weather advisory just popped up here on the bottom. So I'm guessing that could be going on. But so anyway, no, it is. Those are the things that aren't coming in. Is to sit down with the kids and to say, hey, what does it take? So yeah, this is what does it take? What does it take? So all right, we have an update here from the Bengals Bills game. It has been canceled because the player is apparently with life-threatening injuries. There is an update here coming across. This is horrible, but a safety was injured on a play. Apparently, CPR. They have a ambulance, but they have officially canceled the game in Cincinnati. It was in the first quarter, 7-3. Cincinnati led. So I don't remember the last time an NFL game or a professional sports game was canceled because of injury, but they're not releasing additional information at this point. But there are some statements coming through from reporters who are saying that that this is some pretty dire information coming out here. Again, the game officially has been canceled. Holy smokes! Wow. Again, it's just I don't remember. I don't remember a time. That's happened with an injury. So, wow. Vanessa saying, if you want students on the internet feed for class, are you going to help those families have internet help? Good point. That's where these billions of dollars that came out for pandemic funding, a slice of that was supposed to go to increasing Wi-Fi access and then also, providing hotspots, paying for internet service if need be for kids who are at home. Some districts did that, some didn't. So, right, think about right, billions of dollars in this omnibus bill, 1.7 trillion, but we still, where I'm at in Wisconsin, 421 districts, half of those and very small, under 1,000 K-12, rural. There's not good internet. In these places, people that live out in the country, right? It could be, even lesser. So it's just right now where I'm in town. I'm on a landline Spectrum Charter here. This is happening. So it's the Mallory Report, our good friend Jim Mallard from the Mallory Report. Welcome. Um, so that is interesting. Our friend Bacon Maltito. So Corey's saying bribing people to do their job should be frowned upon. So again, that's an argument that is saying, wow, this seems is intrinsically seems bad to do this. Right? Again, it's attendance. It's not attendance and grades. You don't see that together. So it's attendance. So yeah. Um, I don't I don't know. It would be interesting to see how these dealerships or these companies that donate these vehicles, what they benefit, from all of this. Like it is how much do they get in what is called like an advertising benefit. So um yeah. Wow. So okay, let's go over here to the chat. Just over 60 when I got the net hooked up. Now hearing $90 a month, nearing that in Canada. Holy smokes. So, yeah, I was looking at our internet and we have the slower internet, which again, I guess is still pretty fast, but to bump that up was quite like 30, $40 a month. And although I use this for business, right? I was like, nope. Um, but we had Frontier was putting their lines in this fall, so I don't know if that's an option for us, but yes. The internet feed has to be fast enough for video and voice. Vanessa, see, you're hitting something that's core to this, right? And that's we're having these drawings. Kids can win cars and stuff like that, but we have a lot of kids that don't have decent internet access, right? So why aren't we raising everybody? Why aren't we doing that for the school, for the community, federal dollars, local dollars coming into the community to up this, or Wi-Fi spot, whatever it is? Like, but you've got it. Like the issue is much, much bigger than truancy. That's one thing. But if you start to talk about it, you're like, whoa. Vanessa's got a point here. Like, well, we've got some of the kids, they log in online or whatever, and the internet's not good. So then they come in and they're behind or whatever. And I mean, so yeah, it is. I'm with you, and I'm really glad that you put that in there. So what sort of kickback is Toyota and the school board getting from this? So yeah, well, I would say, the school board isn't, getting a kickback on this, but the school board, the question is this a path of least resistance for a school board where they get behind it and they say, oh my god, like the superintendent principal, look, we increased by however you want to show it, you want to show a graph that makes it look like 90 to 93 is this much of a gain, depending upon how you space the numbers out, right? So here's 90, here's 100, so you look big gain versus those little tricks that you do with graphs. But and the dealership is just being opportunistic, right? Just like they can put their ads up in the outfield and at sporting events, that stuff is up all over the place. It's pretty ubiquitous with high school sports. So yeah, I mean, but it's a good question, Corey. Like I wonder from a nuts and bolts standpoint of a dealership of saying, listen, for us to take out a billboard or run a few commercials or whatever, versus and they count it as a donation to the school. I don't know. I mean, are they donating to the school and then it somehow goes to the kid? Because if that's the case, school be a non-profit, right? I mean, so I don't know. I don't know anybody who's done this. Otherwise, I would contact them and say, how did you pull it off from a bookkeeping standpoint? And I'm sure that's kind of we don't want a lot of that to get out there, right? Because but oh my god, this is just crazy. Vanessa is saying you are learning responsibility that you apply to everyday life, what you get out of it basically by going to schools. So yeah, that's the thing is what are you teaching? And again, is it really is it really going to motivate kids? You know, is it this big groundswell that's making this big difference? And again, you don't have these situations outside of that. Are they supposed to go then? You know, they work part-time at Pizza Pit, and they go to Pizza Pit and say, hey, like, why don't we do something here? If everybody makes their shift for, the month, then they get a raffle for what would Pizza Pit give you? An iPhone or something like that. I mean, um, and I wonder if the younger generation is going to start to expect that or to press that. Um, I don't know. I really, yeah, I really don't. Um, but so I kind of wonder what the teachers think on this too. Like we only have the student perspective, but I'm wondering if the faculty are kind of like, what's well, if we had the 3D lab, or down in the commons. I knew one high school where they bought, and I don't know how they got the money for it. It was donated or something. But what they did is this was when big screen TVs were kind of a big thing, like 20 years ago. So like it was very rare for you to see a 50-inch TV. Like people typically didn't have those in their homes 20 years ago. I mean, there were flat screens and stuff, but so this district bought these TVs and put them in its commons area. So they mount them, they're up high, they're 15 feet off the ground and stuff like that. These big, and they had them where one was ESPN and, whatever, these channels. And if you got time to go to the commons right now, there was a TV in the commons. And there weren't movies. It wasn't that. It was like always, it was, but anyway, that was a big thing where kids wanted to earn time to have their study hall in the commons. It was an approach that they used. Right. And of course I could say we can repurpose that for other things that are going on, but kids didn't get to win and take the TV. So it's crazy. I can write some of that off as a business expense. Yep, you're right. I can. So I should maybe look into what it would take to what I found was my download was really good. My upload was okay, but like for most of the stuff I do, it was pretty good because I wasn't like sharing, it would be like my teleconferencing, but I usually don't have stuff kind of working in the back. So if that makes any sense, but I don't know. It seems everything is kind of wonky these days, right? Eggs for $8 a dozen, sold out places. It wasn't it today, if I'm correct, like parts of Florida, Miami and Orlando, the software went out for an hour and they couldn't land planes. I thought I saw a couple stories on that. So just wonky stuff. Publicity. This is our friend Ron Wayne. So there are incentive sunflowers in sales. My uncle Bob sold insurance. He was able to earn free trips. So, okay. Fair enough, right? Yeah, there are there are incentives. Yeah. And now that I think about it, right? Like I have a friend who works at a car dealership and they have incentives, kind of leaderboards for every month and things like that. So, but okay. This is our friend Jim Mallard of the Mallard Report. Well, why are kids missing school? That's a big question, right? So that's the question that's not being asked, or at least it's not being asked in any of those 40,000 or 40 million results that showed up. That's not that's not being asked. So you have to dig into these studies, right? And it's going to be where it's difficult because they're not interviewing the kids. And if you survey kids, that's really weak stuff. You'd have to sit down and it's like, you don't feel like this stuff is important to you. I'll never use this stuff. Kind of like what Coop was saying. Is it that, I don't like this setup where I've got to take all these classes that aren't going to pertain to what I'm doing. Can it be like a modular thing? Can it be streamlined? Can I get college credits? That's a big thing around here. Students, some schools, by the time you're like, junior, you can have almost a year of college credit through his partnerships. So for some kids, maybe that's motivating, or other kids who say like, I want to get out here at 17. I got my own business and I'm an entrepreneur. I got things going on, man. Um, what is it? Um, and or is it school climate? Is it school? I don't come here because I don't feel safe. Or last time I came here with my new car, it got all keyed up, and someone stole the tires off of it, and then someone wrote the symbol of a Batman on it. So wasn't the Batman, but they're trying to summon the Batman to the crime scene. So, but yeah, but all these things, right? Well, why aren't you? What's really going on here? So, and maybe this car thing, or is a way to get kids to open up and to give some of that about their, what they like about school, what they don't like about school. But yeah, it does kind of seem like one of those things, like a genie in a bottle. Once you give away a car for attendance a few times, like that's what kids are going to expect. They'll be like, thanks for the car. No, you guys don't get a car this year. What? You got rid of the car? You got to be kidding me. So, but I refreshed the screen over here, and the Tavern League of Wisconsin is running an ad. So, all right. I'm interesting. So subscribe, do a thumbs up here. So if you can follow from any of your 38 channels, please do so. You can share with your friends. I appreciate that. So yeah. It's our good friend Joe Morris in the house. We're going to do this for Joe. So, Joe, I'm going to take the auto lighting off for you. But that's not much. Joe's like, why would you do that? I'm like, I'm sorry, man. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to make it snow. Let's try this. Oh, here. All right, Joe, this is for you. You're getting a thumbs up, buddy. And you're also going to get the confetti monster. Look at that there, Joe. By God, confetti monster. Twice on the confetti monster, which also comes out for super chats and super stickers, by the way. The confetti monster. So believe it or not, yes. College was costly when I initially applied. It is greatly more so today. I have a screen capture of this, but I don't think I can find it. But let me just take a second, because I might be able to. When I went to school the first semester, so yeah, so let's see here. The first semester I went to school was $700, and that was for the entire semester. So let's see here. Hang on, I might actually have I won't look real long for it, but I thought I saved it here. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Let's keep going. La, da, dun, 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 dun. La, dun, 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 dun. Dun, da, da, dun, da, da, dun, dun, da, da, dun, da, da, da. So where is it? Where? It's not looking like I'm going to find it, but never say never. No. So I didn't find it. So what I did find is this. So I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but so right here, we are intent on not letting Omicron disrupt work and school for the vaccinated. This actually was from the White House last December 2021. You've done the right thing. We'll get through this. For the unvaccinated, you're looking at a winter of severe illness and death. For yourselves, your families, and the hospitals, you may soon overwhelm. But remember, good attendance will win you a car. So, wow. So, whoa, wasn't looking to bring that up. But anyway, my first semester of college, I drove. It was a 2-year college, like 20 minutes from my house. But the first semester is $700. I still have the receipt, and as 18 credits, 6 classes, 6 3-credit classes. So, back in the good old days, yeah. And that's when they used to post your social security number outside the door of the, after a test, right? If you came back a couple hours later, you'd be like, oh, here's your, well, let's find my social security number. Oh, there it is. Okay, here's the grade I got. And everybody else is right. I guess they thought it was all right because you didn't have a name link to it. So yeah, we're not going to give you we're not going to give you a randomly generated number like that. You can, back in the day, they would do that printout. We'll just put your social security number up there. It's crazy. I don't know if any of you had that experience, but oh my goodness. It's our good friend, Marty. There he is. It's Marty. So, what are the requirements to attain certification to teach at public school level? There are several kind of fast track programs in Wisconsin. And I think a bachelor's degree is still required, but I'm not sure. So that is a good question. The other part of going into that is some school districts will pay people to go through these certification programs and then keep them on as like a sub or a long-term sub as they're paying them with the agreement. You'll come in and work for us, like when you get through this program here. And then they can get emergency certification sometimes from the state. So then they have like 3 years to complete their degree. So there are quite a few pathways in Wisconsin if you want to do that. So now if you're a kid and you win a car and then you're like, I'm out of here. And then you go back and get your teaching degree. I don't know, drive your car to work. But so where I'm at is a lifetime license. So once you got it, you got it. So yeah, under my stuff, it's all lifetime license. Marty got to be one of the top 5 signs in existence. Talking about that great sign back there from Coop C&T Designs, right? It's nuclear powered. So Coop said, just keep it on. And around the year 3000, it's going to start to dim a little bit. And I'll work on it then. So then never shut it off. It'll overheat. So yeah, it'll overheat. I'm like, when you overheat, like what Coop? He said, 10, 15,000, like the surface of the sun. This would be like a fusion reaction kind of out of control. I'm like, whoa, what did I get myself into? He's like, it'll be fine. Just don't unplug it. So what if the power goes out? He's like, I can't solve everything for you, Doc. You got to do some of these things on your own. So I have an unlicensed nuclear reactor in the back there powering the sign, but it seems to work. It seems to be good. So I love the sign. I showed the sign off, and we have anybody stops over by the house. I'm like, oh, by the way, like come down and check out the office and this sign. So back in 1996 or so, tuition at Fairmont State College in West Virginia was $900 a semester for 12 hours. So, which would seem proportional to like when I was attending and things like that. So yeah, what people tend to miss, we kind of pivoted into the college stuff now, but what people tend to miss is that what we got here. The student loans, right? The discussion of student loans provided a lot of money to post-secondary. So, and tuition went crazy. I mean, went bananas. So, but that sharp rise in tuition, I don't know what. So where I attended, right, was $700 a semester. I don't know what that would be in state right now. In-state tuition for a semester. Let's just try that in-state tuition um, plus semester. Let's try this out. Okay, if you are no, it's a yearly. So Wisconsin, the tuition for a year is 10,700. So, you know, when I attended initially undergrad, and this is undergrad also, my cost was 1,400 for a year. That's tuition fee. This isn't required course materials, housing, that's all other stuff. So this is coming out as an average. That doesn't include UW Madison. It's Platteville, Stout, River Falls, Superior, Point. So anyway, so this is a good question. What if you're in this attendance lottery, right? And what if you could pick from an array of things, right? Instead of a car, what if you picked a scholarship, you know, basically saying, $25,000 toward whatever. I'm going to this, or I'm going to be an apprentice, or I'm going, I get this. And yeah, what if that was an option? But then people say, oh, but there's scholarships for that type of stuff, and whatever. So this will be competing. But no, what if you did something like that, where the prize wasn't just a vehicle, it was maybe some other things. But then again, some kids would be like, yeah, okay, but you wouldn't have to take that if you wanted the car. Right. I'm just saying, I still can't believe this exists to the level it does, where, and just think though, from a school, it's this feel good story. The media comes in and they're taking a picture. The kids all excited because they want a car, their family's there, and whatever. And so it's just crazy. So, Marty, Oprah, you get a car and you get a car and you get a car. So, did I know that free college was all over America? I think I know there's a lot of free college courses. As far as like a degree, I wasn't, and I am not aware of any degree, although, right, through Google coding, you can go online and get different coding certifications, which are free. So this is the argument too, and maybe this is showing up in truancy, right? Maybe kids are looking at this is a great point, right? And there's the truancy's there because kids are saying, listen, I'm picking up my coding skills. I got a side business where I'm doing some SEO stuff, or, I'm in a gaming league, or I have a YouTube channel and I'm trying to build that and make, money off of it. So, so maybe you've got these other things that are, that are competing, right? And the schools just don't want to know that, because they want to only believe like, oh, you've got to be in school. And kids like, no, they're saying when I'm done here, right? I don't see myself going 4-6 years to do X, Y, Z. Like, I just don't see that. And, so yeah. So what motivates you then as a high school student? Or you said, you're looking, saying I could work over here, or I can up my skills and I can do marketing or SEO, or maybe I'm going to be, again, have a YouTube channel. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, right? I know a kid now, a high school kid, who does a show where it's parking ramps. That's kind of his like main feature, is going through and analyzing and doing these shows on parking ramps. And he has like some spin-off stuff, which is kind of like architecture and big city stuff. And the kid does well on that, as far as like makes as much or more money on his YouTube net on that, compared to if he was working fast food, retail, something like that, 25 hours a week, maybe. And so, it's like, well, that's his thing. Like that's what he's doing. And he's got this, a following and a pretty good fan base. And, he's doing videos about like educating people who are interested in parking ramps. So this is kind of his niche thing. And, but, like there's Post 10. I don't know if you guys know Post 10, if you've seen that channel. Um, so he's out, I believe, in Connecticut, and his channel largely centers on unclogging drains. So these storm sewer drains, or a beaver, has there's a den. It's obscuring water drainage. So he's out there in winter, like clearing this stuff off. He has 700,000 followers and Patreon and this other stuff. I mean, it's amazing, right? So I think I was talking about this with some relatives the other day. So if you're in school 20 years ago, right, and you're interviewing kids, what do you want to be? You're interviewing, like a freshman, sophomore, junior. What do you want to be when you get, you know, or even younger, probably younger? And they're like, I want to be the pro athlete. I want to be the Michael Jordan, right? I want to be Brett Favre, or so the sports thing is where they want it to be, or want to be a Dale Earnhardt, a race car. So something affiliate with that was pretty ubiquitous back 20 years ago, or more. It was, you wanted to want to play in the major leagues, right? That was the thing. And now, right, that's changed, because it'll be like, well, I want to be a professional gamer, maybe, or I want to be a YouTube influencer. um, and when I say this, I'm saying people who are, going on and trying to get into an area. I'm going to have a channel about hunting. I'm going to have a channel about, the outdoor, about welding. I'm going to have a channel about, homesteading, whatever it is. So, you got Safety Dog channel. Look at this. So, oh my goodness, Safety Dog channel here, and you're going to get monetized. And in 2022, Google will be shaking the coin purse, and it's going to sound like this. And out of that's going to tip a whole bunch of coins. And my tax person, Gene, will be like, whoa. I'll be like, it's a channel. Awesome people, commercials, super stickers, good stuff. So yeah. So let's go. You gave away all the old LPs. Yeah. It's kind of a sad thing, right? Like I still, I think, have a few 33s, but never will use them. Let's go back here. Joe Morris is saying, young, able-bodied men could make bank if they went to trade school classes in their latter high school years and a few years after a associate's degree. I agree. One of the things too, there was a school. So, school student signs with plumbing. Yeah, let me do this is from Kentucky, by the way. They're only going to let me see it if I subscribe. It's the Lexington Herald Leader, 33 cents a day. I can't do that. Boo. Well, that's disheartening, man. Let's see. I think I work a way around this. Okay, here we go. Let's do this. What if schools started to do this? We're talking about the truancy and things like that. You're trying to get to a root cause, like not America's Got Talent. No, I'm not trying to do that. But here's high school senior signs letter of intent to work for plumbing company in ceremony. Great kid. So here he is, and there's a ceremony at the school. And this is in Montgomery County High School. I don't know where that is. So May 30th of 2022. But so he is going with Fast Flow Plumbing. And he said, here, I never really wanted to be an accountant or sit down. I enjoy work with my hands. Bradley's ceremony, which took place May 18th, was the first non-athletic signing event for the high school, counselor Lacey Gross told WKYT. So again, this was the first time per the counselor that the school had done a certain, because the kid will say, they've signed a hockey scholarship or something, with whatever school, and then they have a big banner and the media's there, and this kid now is signed on with fast flow plumbing, and so he's coming in as an apprentice. He'll be a master plumber. He'll work for a master plumber for 2 years, and then he'll start his journeyman's license. And they're paying for this. The company they got him on board here. So I think this is awesome. So here it is on YouTube. There's the kid. He's got his hat on. Fast flow. This is so right. Where's this in the discussion of attendance? Right. If you talk, this kid's got a lot of lapel mics on, by the way. But if you're talking to this kid, maybe he said, listen, like, I came to school because they fast tracked industrial arts and I had some CAD class. I mean, like, I knew what I wanted to do. And the fact that I knew that when I was, 14, I was able to take classes and get out of here and already, get this work with the high school and getting this apprenticeship. Like, I could spend afternoons, and I was a senior, doing job shadow or whatever it was. But this is awesome. So you ask kids, right? How do you, so this kid is just taking a step into his career, right? He's not going to have student debt. He's going to be young when he might have some people working for him at some point. He's going to be in demand, right? So wow. But this is something, though, that's really noteworthy, is the ceremony that's happening at the school. So they're also saying, hey, remember, there's no food or drink in the library media center, because the one time Ron Wayne was there. So he's like, I've got a 20-ounce Pepsi. I'm like, Ron, I think that was shaken up. It fell. He's like, it's fine. And it's all over in the library, all the books covered with Pepsi. It's hard to clean. But yeah, so this is really cool here. There's the counselor. I don't know if that's the counselor. Is it the counselor? So here he is. He's like, listen, like, I know this is the first step in becoming the apprentice to the Kentucky Batman. So kind of taking over in Kentucky, doing Batman-ish type things. So I don't know. This is cool. This is cool stuff. There's a drain. So this is the vice president of the, this is great stuff. So, it's really, really good. So, I like everything about this, guys. I don't know what your feelings are. I like everything about this. So this is really cool. Yeah, I'm not sure, like, the library is the backdrop here. I would have probably done, like, the industrial arts backdrop, but maybe this is where they had space to do this. So, but this is really this informs me a lot more than a school district that says, well, we're going to, put a big prize out there to get attendance up. So first time the school had done that in this school, that they had celebrated the student or a non-academic, basically like a non-academic scholarship. I shouldn't say it non-academic, because this is academic. What they would say is a non-university. You guys know what I'm saying, right? But I think this is amazing. Yeah, this kid is putting himself in a great position for a great career. Sans the not having the debt. I mean, he knows what he wants to do, and as he said in that article, he's very clear about what he wants to do. And so why keep him in school? For any other, why keep him in school? So, like, at that high school, he wants to be out. So let's go back. People want to see a blast of sludge hit the guy in the face. He's like, I'm too good. I'm not going to let that happen. So, only one in my circle did that, Joe Mason. Now bad back. Yeah, that is a thing, right? I have a relative who's a plumber, and by the time he was 50, it like the knees and back and stuff were really really giving him issues. So so if this kid's 18, who knows where he goes or what he opens up, or does he become his own, is people working then for him, or where does that go? But yeah. So let's go over here. It's just scholastic inflation. Yeah, no kidding. Again, our parents teaching their kids personal responsibility. That's from Vanessa. Right. We have trade schools here. Is it me, or is Doc's hair just dapper tonight? I'm jealous. Oh my goodness. Well, I got my hair cut last week, or on the 30th. I got it cut. And she always cuts it really short, so you can see on the sides, and then on the top for maybe like a week, it'll be easy to just spin over like that, and then it grows really, really fast. So I'm kind of like in this zone now where the hair is just at its best. So I don't really have anything in it either. It just I just kind of comb it over, and I didn't mousse it. It's not gelled. There's no stylist here doing the pancake on the face to make me look better in front of the camera. Yeah, the hair just kind of does this on its own. So which is really good. Yeah, I didn't do this until about 5 years ago. The way that I comb my hair, so she actually cuts up a part, on this side, like the line going across. And I always combed it the other way, which was always against the grain. And I don't know why I did that. So, and one time she's like, well, the natural like tendency of your hair is to go like this way. So why don't we just like, and then it'll just fall over there and everything will look fine. And I'm like, yep, no one ever taught me that in school. Here I am driving around in a car that I won. My hair is like looking bad because I comb it the wrong way. But young men, listen up. Be linemen, plumbers, electricians, oil and gas workers, mechanics. Our skilled workpool is retiring. Nobody's lined up to replace them. Take advantage. Absolutely right, Joe. Absolutely right. So, and we look at schools, and so how is that message being conveyed to the students, and the excitement that would go with that, or the opportunities to say, hey, like if you're interested in this by your junior year, you can be out of school of 3 afternoons and getting paid by this company and picking up some apprenticeship type things. Like that happened when I was in school. We had a couple students leave. I think one went to the bank and one went somewhere else, and it was all like like a financial internship or something like that. But we didn't have anybody going for like as a lineman, plumber, electrician, whatever, leaving school for that. Which I don't remember it really well, but I just do remember a couple of people were leaving for accounting, in an accounting class, that they had jobs outside then of school in some kind of bookkeeping. But you're right on. And so we look at this and we're like, yeah, what if a lot of this started to, wouldn't it be fun? God, I built a pontoon boat with my friends when I was in shop class. We did stuff like that. But if you could make money and be learning this stuff, and as a kid, this was a kid, 16, 15, 16, 17, I think this would be really exciting. So, yeah, I like it. I like it, Joe Morris. So I want it to be an adventure. This is Corey. Mom told me there was no point. Everything has already been discovered. That set the pattern for my life. So, yeah. Back in the days when there's DeSoto discovered the Mississippi, and yeah, it's strange to kind of live in a time when what is a new frontier outside of a science or hypothetically other planets. But yeah, there are still stories that come out around here in Wisconsin where someone has located an effigy, 1,000-year-old effigy mound on their property. And it's usually because they're flying over it with a drone, and now the drone can do the lidar type effect, right? So it can see the little variances in the ground. So some people are kind of discovering stuff like that. But um, Jim is saying my dad just had to do apprenticeship to be an electrician. Now my cousin had to go 4 years for the same job. So Jim, what do they think? Are they like, and again, like how do we interface that with school and maybe what incentivizes some students? Um, so it's good. Mike is saying to Joe, absolutely, there have always been jobs in the trades. It's the schools that shame students to thinking they are failures if they don't go to college for a minimum of a bachelor's or master's. And Mike, some of the some of the stuff that comes back to the schools. So Mike, I believe you're on point with that. There's a lot of emphasis on post high school outcome studies that say, "Are you in college? Are you whatever, whatever?" And um, at least when I was working more closely with those, you can have a student who, let's say, created his own business. He's doing specialty welded gates for farms and livestock gates or whatever. I think this was actually a thing in my state. And there's one student like he created his own business and like he was just things were working great. Like he has a little fabrication lab. It was doing well, like income and stuff like that. But the way he would have been counted on the state post high school report, it would have been negative for the school because he wasn't attending education and didn't ask like what money are you bringing in, so like you could get out of school and sign a contract and you're out there being the next Alice Cooper, right? And 18 years old or you make it into the major leagues, right? It would be all good. Oh, have I just froze? So I look like I've just froze here. So wow. I don't know if can you hear me? So okay, I'm going to bring myself back in here. Okay, still hear me now. Yeah, I just knocked out the video. So what is what is going on here? This is nuts, man. I am so yeah, it just took out the it took out the video. So I'm trying to add the video back right now. So all right, is this working? Are we this has been a freaky night. It's been well, there we are. So am I back? I look like I'm back. Now it went full screen. So my God, this is the haunted night. The only thing that cures that is a super chat. But I don't know what's going on tonight, man. This has been a strange night. So this is Goonies. So it just worked around the software right now, and it's just running the camera on its own. So it's not going through any. I can't do the little confetti thing anymore. Like that's off the table. So it was really nuts, man. So, but apparently I'm back. It's what is going on here, man? Someone could be a technician out of high school and come over here and get this set up. So let's see here. White swirling circle of disconnect. So everything should be back on now. I didn't I haven't well, I shouldn't say I haven't had this happen when I consulted. I a couple days ago I had where I couldn't get my video on, but they could hear me and they were like, all right, let's just go. So but it's Doc's ghost trying to get its airtime. Something is strange here, man. I don't know. Misty Mrs. Wayne. It's we're kind of in a supernatural experience here for the night. It's really bizarre. So yeah, I don't know. This is just we have a little bit of sleet coming down, but a very small amount. So yeah. Oh, it's not supposed to impact, the roads or anything like that. So all right, ball lightning. I don't know if you guys see some crazy paranormal stuff happening in the background. The penguin starts running around, and I gotta get out of here and fend for myself. I gotta go up and get my crucifix and I gotta exercise this place, man. So now you get to see kind of the big view of the room. So why did I just read that in Ozzy's voice, Misty Mrs. Wayne? So you guys, it's crazy. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes. So I will be back after this clip, which is 21 seconds. But now, since we do have these kind of weird, unexplained things going, this was a video captured in Ron Wayne's house. Just his house surveillance system captured this. He didn't, and then Misty picked up on it later, got out on the web. But I'm going to show you. This was Ron Wayne watching the NBA playoffs last spring here. So here we have Ron Wayne, and then be right back to the show.
Holy shit, a ghost.
Ooh.
Do you mind moving out of the way? You're blocking the TV.
Oh, shit. Sorry, man.
It's okay. Thank you.
Oh my God, that was Ron Wayne. But you see how he's really composed. And even though there's a ghost there when he's watching TV, he's like, hey, do you mind? Do you mind? And the ghost is like, you know what? You're the Kentucky Batman. I'm sorry. I'll just haunt over here on the side. Ron's like, fine. I'm all good with it, but game's on. So yeah. Vanessa's saying if internet feeds get good enough, then most teachers can teach from home sometime. Yeah, true. So this whole thing, what does attendance look like in giving away these cars when some students are going to be, taking classes from home or from somewhere, right? And the teacher necessarily won't be in the classroom, might be teaching from home. So how does attendance get marked? Or what if things become more asynchronous? I think was it Mike or was it Corey? You said as long as you turned your stuff in, the teacher, or I think it was Coop, said fine, right? You get the stuff done, and so what if it is asynchronous? Here are your modules for this class in history or whatever it is, and boom, you can do them on your own, and you can submit them, and you submit them through the Google Classroom, and but yeah, so this whole thing, as we get into more, this whole publicity of you in a car, I think is also not sustainable, because the school model is just not going to be kids coming to school. Like Vanessa said, pesky ghost. Geez, if Ron Wayne was here, he could exercise that darn thing, get it out of here. But he's not. I have a ghost to deal with. So, but just crazy. It's crazy. Look at this. It's Misty Mrs. Wayne. Crucifix on the wall, every room. So, hey, this is when we moved here, the guy, so there were a couple previous owners, but the person who lived here the longest was a pastor, and he did a lot of crazy stuff. Like he put phone lines in every room, and then cable TV. So there's just hundreds of feet of coax That I remember the charter guy had to pull that stuff out of here like years ago when we moved here because the signal was so diluted. Like you could get cable in every room in the house, but it would be like barely visible. Um, but I was, I'm going around the house and he put crucifixes up in the rafters, and up in the floor joist, I should say, in the joist. And I was like, what's the deal? So I took them out. I still have them and they're in the firewood room. But yeah. So I'm like, was that just because you're a pastor or was there more going on here? But and they were handmade metal crucifixes. So they're like soldered together and it was kind of like a set, but I mean, it looks like someone had made all of them. This wasn't something that was purchased. So I'm like, what, what's the deal? I never got to ask, hey, like, why were all the crucifixes hidden in the house? So strange, but no, the house is not haunted or anything like that. But that is a true thing. The crucifix stuff was just kind of weird. So look at this, Ron Wayne, the Kentucky Batman. Now he's the Kentucky Ghostbuster. Da-da-da-dun-dun-it, Ron Wayne. Da-da-da-da-da, Ron Wayne. Da-da-da-dun-dun-it, Ron Wayne. Honestly, I think the scholastic inflation is some professors, they like to hear their own voice. 15 minutes of material talk for 4 hours. Could be. Could be. I don't. I mean, I'm a professor. I you know, I hope that's not my. What I think it is, Jim. In some cases, is these departments they just claw and claw and claw to add more to more courses, right? Um, Now, like I teach in a licensure program, so it's streamlined, and we sit down, as instructors annually, and we go through and say like, here's the state standards plus like the university standards and what people need to know, and so it's being covered through it's coupling in through all the classes. It's really well done, but is it that there's a section of whatever, and we need to offer this third section of you know humanities of whatever, and I mean, so I think there is this there's so many more courses, right, that you can take today, a course catalog, than when I was in school, or like probably any of us, right? So um and I think that's competing for those dollars. um I don't know. I would think the universities would consolidate. Maybe some of them are consolidating those programs down. Um, Canadian Ghost. The ghost was really me trying to talk to him. Oh my goodness, Misty. Ron's like, I am watching the game. Look, there's the Kentucky Batman. I'm just here to help Doc in case a penguin attacks. Yeah, it could. I mean, we have a we've got weight. Oh my God, we have weights back there. Got a 50-pound weight flying at me at 85 miles an hour. I gotta be, you know, fast reactions here. So then it's on. Then it's on. So I don't really have much to counter with right here of baseball and wow. So let's hope it doesn't come to that. So yeah, be careful what college courses you take. Yeah. As I want to go back and take my transcripts, redact the information right and put together a list of classes and go through them in a podcast and say like, here's stuff that I remember. For one, like I'm sure there's a lot of classes I'll be like, I have no idea what this was, right? Math 302, like what did we cover in that? And highlight classes that were memorable and then have a different way memorable plus like something I used. Like I had a business class that wasn't elective I took in summer because the company I was working for said, hey, we'll pay for one class a year. That class was awesome. I learned, the instructor was great, learned a ton. Really, really liked it. So strangely, like Geography 125 with Professor Montgomery, that class was glaciers and different stuff. I mean, like, nothing I really put to use, right? So, but it was, he was a fascinating instructor. Yeah, at the university prof, the statistics prof who used to work at Nabisco and was giving the way that they designed these surveys out, and it was really just enlightening. Had a former superintendent of a big school district, and so he had retired. So he was telling all these wild stories of things that happened, as a superintendent. So you'd be there just captivated by these stories. But anyway, there'd be so many classes, I'd be like, I don't remember what this was for, or I'd look at it and say, I didn't need to do that. So if you look, you know, right, that you could get rid of 25% of the classes, and have done everything that I did, right? Or maybe even more than that. And that's the problem, right? Of saying, oh, you've got to come in and you need so many in this area and so many of this. And then I don't think kids are into that anymore. And I think that, so if you look at this whole thing too of like, why is attendance going down and stuff like this theme of the story is, maybe the college scene isn't very appealing. And then also the acknowledgement in the trades is very rare, because we saw where, the story with the kid that signed with fast plumbing, right? And the school said that's the first time we've done a ceremony for that type of signing. So there's these structural things that are at play here. But it's like, no, let's just give a really big incentive. So here you go, here's a car, and who knows where that'll go next. Like, here's a car, plus like you're going to get a credit of $2,000 to take it to this detail shop, and they'll like do anything you want. Like put a lightning stripe, a big bat on it, hologram bat. It's neon, so shows up at night. But I don't know. So might use that guitar as a weapon. So geez. At all levels. Elementary, you got it. Ontario teachers want your kids in class all year. My goodness. Watch out for jewelry falling out of the ceiling where those crosses were placed. So to see what's going, it's like the Goonies over here. Remember when they found the pirate ship? I feel like this is an episode of the Goonies. So I've lost the ability to do the confetti cannon. So we're like Star Trek to the Wrath of Khan, when the Enterprise took a few zaps from the Reliant, right? And they're running on reserve power. And I'm kind of that way right now with Scotty. I was saying, Scotty, where are we at? He's like, it's offline, Captain. I can't bring it back on. I'm like, warp speed for the Safety Doc podcast, and we're going to lose it. We're going to be off the air. I'll do the best that I can, Captain. So we've lost the confetti cannon, Scotty. I know, Captain. Yeah. So it's a measure to preserve the integrity of the show here. Scotty's shut down the confetti cannon. The thumbs up is gone. The overlay is gone. Me wearing a knit hat, a watermelon, the bat flying overhead, the lightning bolts, all of that stuff. We don't have any of it. So we are running here on it's kind of like Apollo 13 in a way, because it's running a very lean system right now just to keep things going. So the crew's working, but they're like, realistically, we're not even going to try to get the confetti cannon back, because if we make one wrong move, then the show's over. So, all right. Someone's going to timestamp this and be like, I remember the time the confetti cannon went offline. The show kept going on. So years from now, I'll talk about that. I'll be like, what? It was right around show 200. Is it 201? Yeah. I said a lot of weird stuff. And we lost the confetti cannon at the 1 hour, 42-minute mark. So, they just keep on. I'm looking over here, like the crew up in the booth. I'm like, what do we do? The confetti cannon's gone. They just keep going. Keep going. Mike and Vanessa, Corey, like Jim, Just keep it going. So, man, wow. So let's see here. There isn't a good online library. So that is from Jim. Honestly, organization not so organized. So, um, yeah, there's this. I've never really tried to do that. I guess online library. If you go to journ.org, you can get a lot of really cool. You just type in what you're interested in studying, and you get like the contemporary research studies, and a lot of them are probably done by people who are doing their dissertations or whatever. Um, but that's a good point on the library. I've never. It's interesting. Um, uh, let's see here. Whoa, whoa. Um, Vanessa's saying many kids here had no internet at home or computers, right? And I would hear that too from my superintendents about the pandemic. So this is from Joe to me. I placed those crucifixes there years ago. Please place one per room. Under the floor is acceptable if you want to hide them, but still protection. Wow. All right. Well, I still have them, so I will get them back in their locations. So, wow. Um, that's what happened in our area with kids with no internet. The education went null, right? So I love how you guys took this and of course, we had all those surface articles. A 12-year-old in Chicago wins a car, and these kids winning cars for attendance, right? And it's like the school's like, well, we had 94% attendance and it dropped to 90, and this will, get attendance back up. And you guys are like, okay, like, right. But you see through that, right? So you're having the discussions that the news is just coming in. They're doing this quick bit. Oh, here's a kid getting in his car. And the counselor's like, this is a great thing. Our attendance went up. But it's like, why, what are the deep issues here? This is big stuff. Like, what's causing this? You guys are, hitting it all. And also too, like as we go to the school model's going to shift to, you're not going to be there 5 days a week. Kids are going to be doing some asynchronous. It's just the way that is going to go. And so internet access has to be a part of this. So our community is building that, or like people working from home. It's just, so anyway, it's really good. Schools come up with new programs all the time trying to get federal money, and most of the time those classes are horrible, but they meet federal guidelines. So yeah, it is. It's not informed by the students, right? They don't meet with the students and say what, kind of what career path and what courses. And again, I'm surprised we don't have just more courses, 3D printing, Thingiverse, um, on e-marketing, right? And stuff like that. Because I would think kids would have high interest in those areas. And for schools, it's just, but if they're like, we don't have anyone to teach, or this person hasn't taught that, so we're not going to expect them to teach. I don't know what it is, man, but um, I think the whole thing of attendance coming down is there. No one is willing to look and say, well, what's going on? What's going on with the school? Or look at this school over here. Like, it's kind of the same size, demographics, whatever. And oh yeah, but they've got this and this and this, which are just maybe curriculum things that we don't have. Oh yeah, they do. They have a class in teaching like social media marketing, and then they have a stock market like investment class. They have a stock club team and this, and I don't know, but like there's things to be looked at. So he must have thought it was haunted or something, Doc. People don't install protection icons for no. Well, you guys got to have my back here. That's why I have a widescreen. Give me a moment to get in the fight here. So I don't know. Like I said, never had any paranormal stuff here in the house or anything like that. So, man, as a pastor, I don't apparently he was a pretty cool guy though. He had a nice boat and like kind of like a ski boat type thing. So um, so that's all good. So um, Vanessa saying my local McDonald's had students sitting in the parking lot trying to do classes from one laptop. So using the Wi-Fi at the McDonald's to do that. Okay. So just say, again, the omnibus bill, the infrastructure bill, and we don't hear about, robust internet, a Starlink type thing, or just running fiber out to more places, whatever it is, right? But doesn't that seem like, put a man on the moon? Shouldn't it be like that we get high speed internet access across the country as a goal? Like, I know fixing bridges and roads, right? That's all, it's right there too. But who is the secretary of what that does that, right? And it seems like that would go hand in hand with the integrity from being hacked and stuff like that, that our systems would become more robust and, more secure. IRS hiring 87,000 agents. Well, what if we had, investments into maintaining the 87,000, IT people? Well, not all working for the government, right? Not saying we want that, but you guys kind of get where I'm at here. Like it really falls on its face when you start to look, and Vanessa, you guys have pointed out, right? When you're like, you know, the kid for an online class here, the kids have to go to McDonald's and hang out in the parking lot and get the Wi-Fi from McDonald's to connect because they don't have it at home, a rural setting, or wherever they're living, it's like threaded out so much, or they, or they just whatever it is, like, but just saying, and we know this is an issue not only in suburban and rural areas, but in urban areas. So, how is that not part of a front and center presidential campaign, a presidential initiative? Like what it was, the 1,000 points of light. Here, I'm going to do it here for Joe. 1,000 points of light. Remember that? Which president? Right, it's George Bush. So remember George Bush, the father, not as an priest, but 1,000 points of light. That was his campaign. But and then war on drugs, stuff like that. But I'm like, how are we not doing that? Like how is this not a top 3 national initiative, I guess, going on, and that there's money being put into it and it's being incentivized, and I don't know. It's baffling to me. It really is. So funny enough, my psych class has proved most useful. It's Joe Morris. So I didn't have psych when I was in high school. It wasn't offered, but when I was in college, I had it, and I had an awesome psych teacher for one of the classes. The other guy was pretty good too, but this one, like, he was just like this rock star. Like everyone had decided, just this guy was so good. I remember he died of cancer 15 years ago or something, and all of these students came back, and for the eulogy, and just amazing. So let's see here. The internet wiring is not okay. That's true. Some places have an abundance of connectivity, other places none, right? So yeah, it's completely right that this should be. Am I wrong on this? But in today's day and age, and just coming out of a pandemic when people were told that they had to stay home and log in and everything, why wouldn't we have this $1.7 billion omnibus bill? Maybe like the center of that is like the American Communications Resiliency Act, and it's building high-speed Wi-Fi in these remote areas. It's building in satellite. Why isn't this just like? Why did I come up with that now? And you guys have come up with that too. Like, I mean, but why is that not the thing? And who fights you on that? Who's And I don't know, right? Am I naive? Like, is it political interest? But like, even there, like, wouldn't it seem, um, like, I just I don't know what's the inhibitor to that from a logical standpoint. Like, we can sit here and we can think about it and talk about it and be like, yeah, it makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. Um, so, and who knows on some of these schools too? Like, do they have decent Wi-Fi? Um, and are they providing personal devices to the kids? And are they, current, or the kids take them home and they can't? I mean, what are some of these things going on? But we'd have to come up with constructs. And I did think about that beforehand, but like what they would actually ask kids. I think one construct or underlying theme would be like, is it the curriculum's not interesting? Do you deem that it's not important? I think those are two different things. Like, you could take something that you know I took this class on firefighting. I learned a lot. It was great, but like so it was important, but like the way it was taught wasn't very interesting. Like it was a lot of classroom stuff, and we should have been hands on, or at least like. Um, but anyway, so did you just nothing? It's not interesting to you, or the content's not important? Is it that the school, you know, it's a bullying, or do you feel like too much drama is happening at the school? Um, I mean, other things going on. Like, I mean, in your life outside of school that's prohibitive. I don't know. You can come up with like 5 categories. I don't want to. No one has time. I'm going to quiz a kid down to like every single thing. But I think, but yeah, most rural schools are poor of resources. Absolutely, and my soups tell me that. Yeah, and days when they're getting calls from their teachers saying, "I'm trying to log in here to," and the wheels just spinning, and they're like, "We just checked, and yeah, our provider's saying we're running really slow internet right now." I had a soup tell me that in fall in a very rural district, that they had days where they were basically without internet because the bandwidth, as soon as 3 or 4 classrooms would get on, it would just get diminished. So, and what do you do? Like, what do you do in that instance? Like, what's your plan? What's your plan B? So, really, really good point there. We had 2 fiber optic trunk lines run down the 2 side streets around my location. Wow. There are schools in Alabama, this is Coop, that have done sign-on ceremonies for the trades under the Build Alabama program. Cool. So we showed Coop before, the high school kid signing with First Plumbing, and they had, the signing ceremony. But I think it's awesome. And right, like on the news, it never made sense to me, but it's forever. It's been on the news, right? A kid signs, they get a scholarship, and they're going to play for whatever school for a sport or whatever. And while that's not that's good, right? That's good, but it's just one piece, right? There's again, kid gets a apprenticeship with the plumber, that we saw, and it's like, celebrate. I mean, he's got this, and so, but it was really that there was just athletics, 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 and it's really kind of really strange on that. Sticks out more to me now of like, oh, it was signing day, and like we're going around to the area high schools, and this person's playing tennis over here, and whatever, and this person's got a full martial arts scholarship to University of Kentucky. I'm like, ultimately though, you got to take on the Kentucky Batman. Um, he's jujitsu. So company is now selling connections to it. I will try it this fall. So, Doc, you just became Ron's best friend talking Star Trek. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Man, the Wrath of Khan. So Star Trek 2 was the year that cable TV came to my city in Wisconsin, rural Wisconsin. So what was that? 86 maybe? Was it? No, it was 82. 82. So it was 80 82, I'm guessing 82, 83 for the Wrath of Khan. And so you used to get those little pamphlets from HBO and Showtime, and then it would have like the picture of the movie, and then the times it would air, right? Because you had to turn it on while it aired, but it aired like 4 times a day. And so like at first we had most of the channels, and then my parents were like, we're not going to keep this other stuff. But I think they gave you like the first couple of months for free. So anyway, we had the big console TV, and I remember a couple of my friends stopped over and we were watching Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan on HBO, and I'm like, holy smokes, like this is awesome. And it felt really bad, because Spock died. And I'm like, God, man, that was rough when Spock died at the end of Star Trek II. So I don't know if you guys remember that. And who was Christy Alley was in that as Lieutenant Slavic, right? Was that her? On. So let's do this without getting a flag. So we don't need that going on. So let's do this. All right, here it is. We're gonna just show you the still clip. This is from Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and there he is. James T. Kirk is behind the plexiglass here, and Spock has released all the radiation so they could go again. He's like, no, Spock. So, but yeah, that was a sad moment as a young kid watching that movie, man. And it was, yeah. If you guys know, if you remember watching, is 82, yeah. Sad. So Spock returned, though, then in the next one or the one after, they went to this planet they had shot him off on, and it had all this Regeneron type of stuff. So it would, anyway, he came back to life. So as a cactus, it's really weird, but that was a cool movie, man. Ricardo Montalban, holy smokes, man. And the Reliant. So they know the codes. So it's when you need a Kentucky Batman. He'll give you a password that no one will figure out. So I worked with a lady like 7-8 years ago, and she subscribed to a company that would generate random passwords for things that she was a part of. So let's say like you're ordering off of Amazon, right? Or, there's different sites. So you didn't have to remember your password. You would just log into this site, which would have all your passwords, and then would either change them or prompt you. But I'm like, that sounds like a really bad idea. Like that doesn't, I don't think I would do that. And I think it was, you didn't even have to pay for it. She's like, I'm not even paying for this. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't do that if I were you, though. So I think there's a pitfall to that. So anyway, it's crazy. Longtime Trekkie. I stood in line for a third movie in Alaska. So yeah, man, great movie. Yep. Yeah. So little critters they put in your ears. So the only thing missing, the critique of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, not enough bats. So you see that a lot on Rotten Tomatoes. So it was a great movie, but it was just shy on bats. And anytime you're running Star Trek, you're going through space, there's going to be bats. And to just like omit the bats, like a lot of people picked up on that. Should have been a lot of bats. So I don't know. Apparently they're like, they should have sent bats into the reactor to take care of the radiation instead of Spock. Like Galaxy Quest. Oh my God. Yeah, that was a pretty cool movie. I mean, I'm glad it was a standalone, right? That they didn't do Galaxy Quest 2. Maybe they did. I don't think they did, but with Tim Allen, and that was a pretty cool flick. So yeah, for what it was designed to do, to be kind of lighthearted. And the Goonies, God, I loved the Goonies. I mean, again, I'm so thankful in the 80s to have Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, The Goonies, and Star Trek, right? So just fortunate to go and have these awesome movies before everything got CGI'd out, and you did have other stuff going. What? No confetti cannon? So uh there's no confetti cannon. So let's see here. If I grab Thor's hammer, this is a great stream. Thanks, Ron Wayne. We've had to swim up stream for this one against the raging waters to keep this going. So yeah, this is a show where buckle up. Afterwards, they'll be analyzing this, and as systems fail, how do you keep the show going? And bandwidth is limited, and there's going to be a lot of praise coming out for the people behind the scenes keeping the show going. And then I suppose I'll be interviewed. Like, how'd you feel? You had widescreen. It's not, the penguin wasn't supposed to be in the shot tonight. You can't mess with it. So, have you lost trust in the camera? Are you going to bench the camera here? I'm like, no. I don't think that's it. But right, we got it. We've got things going on, but I think the fact that we're still on, despite all the hacking attempts, right? It's a denial of service coming out from multiple countries trying to shut this show down tonight. From all those dealerships that are selling cars to schools and writing them off as prizes to kids. I'm getting all these, Ray Chevrolets doing a DDoS, denial of service attack. So, and we're still hanging in there. Next, they're going to try to short that sign out in the back hoop. So let's hope they're not going to, it's the only sign I don't have on a power protector, as they call it, I guess. I had to scroll back with the chat to see what you degenerates are talking about. So the chat's really lively tonight. I gotta do a little Back to the Future here and try to just catch up. So dun 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 dun. Man, was I behind in the chat? So, the Rockford Files. Dun 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 dun. Jim Rockford. Dun 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 dun. Loved it. That, my friend, was a good show. The Rockford Files. So yeah, absolutely excellent. The Rockford Files, 70s. Jim Rockford. A TV show called Hunter was really, I think I can remember that. So it's John Blaze. Please subscribe to the channel. Look at this. John Blaze, please subscribe to the channel. We're also sharing the good news with you that the channel is monetized. So we're sharing that right now. This channel is monetized. So thank you for watching the ads. Appreciate that. I remember Night Stalker. Let's see here. So I stood in line in Alaska at Firewood Theater for the third Star Trek movie. Wow, Spaceballs. Remember that? The Search for More Money. Thank God for the Genesis effect for Bring Spock back. Yeah. You built all of this, and man, you can cook, right? It's down there. The thing is, like, he's using the communicator, right, to talk back to Spock. Like, how does that work through all the rock? And he pulled out the antenna on it too. So I'm like, yeah, that's interesting, right? But you're inside of a planet. So like that is, we need to go down that rabbit hole, because a lot of these kids don't have internet these days. And whatever system you had working there back in 82 would that could help out a lot of people these days. So if minutes were as hours, and then yeah, Khan's like, how did I not know that? So, and then Starfleet was going to dispatch they have the Reliant and the Enterprise, and then they had the Kentucky Batman, kind of a custom rig, really high end, mostly for parades, stuff like that. But that was on its way, really super fast. But then at the end, they're like, well, let's not bring this in. It's kind of a new storyline, and we'll make it so the Enterprise gets out here. But that was originally supposed to have the Kentucky Batman ship come in and just like take out the Reliant. And so I don't know. Would have been cool. I don't know if any of that still exist. Any of the raw tape. So let's see. So Misty Mrs. Wayne, her birthday's Thursday. Well, happy birthday. Da 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 da. You say it's your birthday. Well, happy birthday to you, Chips. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I love the intro song, right? That's when they had the full minute intro and they'd be driving on the motorcycles. What was it on the 405 in Los Angeles? Da, 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 dun, 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 dun. Man, that was good. So, Mike McClune. Yes. Battlestar Galactica. So, it's good. It's good. Doc had to reroute the stream through auxiliary control twice. Yeah, like, and Scotty's like, they're just rookies. They didn't expect this to be a full on, IT. Yeah. Holy smokes, they froze again. Oh my god, just wait. Okay, this is nuts. This is Goonie. It just knocked me out again. Let me see the controls. So, settings. All right. Am I back? All right. Yes. No. All right. So we've just lost the camera again. So, so this is crazy. I guess our audio is still good. I can see our audio is going through. What in the world here? So let me go back. Add the stream. Camera's on. So let me. So we've been fighting all day here. So it's back. Oh geez. No, it's not what I want. All right. Are we there yet? Are we there? It's man, it is ghosting out for everything. Let's see. This is weird. Try settings again. General camera. Oh my goodness, this is embarrassing. Stop mic.